So I am super excited to be live with Paulette tonight, talking, and she is my very, very first client. So as I shared on the post today when I was writing about it, there would be no Shelley Gal with functional nutrition without Paulette. Like literally, and before I even say anything more, I'll tell you my side of how I think this came about, and you might have a different story. But literally, Dad had my Paulette and Paul, her husband, are friends, family friends for forever. And so Dad had asked Paul if he wanted to go out for dinner with him and Mum and Paulette. And Paulette was like, Paul was like, I'm so sorry, my wife's unwell. Like, well, I just can't commit to going out for dinner. Like, she just can't do anything. We don't know what her life's going to look like from day to day. Dad was like, that's so sad. Like, I wonder what's going on. But nothing else came forward. And then one day, probably a few weeks later, Dad bumped into Paul downtown and he was like, hey, Paul, like, what is happening with your wife? Are you okay? Like, can I do anything? I've had Shelley really sick. And I don't think Paul quite realized how sick I'd been or the dots in between because nobody really did. And Paul was like, oh my, and and then Paul started to say, your husband started to say kind of what was going on for you guys and the family. And Dad's heart just melted because it was one thing for his daughter to be super sick, but knowing that a mother of two young boys was sick was just heartbreaking. Like he came home that day and cried with me and Mum. And Dad looked at me and was like, do you think you could help her? Because I volunteered that you could. So I really hope that you can help her. Because literally in that moment, Dad had said to Paul, like, I don't really know, but my daughter was really sick too, being me. She studied, she got herself better. She's only ever proven that she can get herself better. But if you're willing to take a risk on her and your wife doesn't mind and she can be the guinea pig, I don't think, and Paul was like, well, I don't think she can get any worse. So we've got nothing to lose. Like, that was how little hope any of us had in me, myself. My dad came home and he was like, do you think you can help Paulette? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll give it a go. And I literally remember, like vividly, Paulette, to this day, remember driving to your house and just seeing you. And I had to go to the bathroom. I remember quite early on asking to go to the bathroom because I had tears filled in my eyes. I messaged Mum and was like, Paul, none of us understand how sick Paulette is. Because I was just so taken aback. Like obviously I'd been sick, and so but seeing it in somebody else and knowing you had two young boys that you were wanting to be a mum to and a wife to Paul, obviously, it absolutely broke my heart. So Paulette, just tell us a little bit, like I've thrown us right in there, but you were this healthy person that I grew up with, obviously a family friend of the family. And I knew Paulette as this amazing, like when I moved to Australia, you were working for a bank and I actually wanted to be Paulette. But when we'd go to Paul and Paulette's for dinner as young kids, me and my younger sister, Paulette was everything that I aspired to in terms of being a businesswoman, working for the bank, extremely successful, extremely hardworking. That was your life, right? Like you were full on loving your life, an amazing woman, amazing career person, and an amazing wife to Paul. So what happened?
Well, that I think looking back was pretty much the problem. I didn't, like a lot of women, didn't know how to say no. Have the
Yes.
personality type that, you want to be involved in everything, you want to help everybody, you want to fix everything. Yeah, before pre-kids, I was in the bank for many years, and when we decided that we were going to have children, we'd always decided that I'd be a stay-at-home mum. So I got sick or crashed really, because it kind of built up, and you sort of it becomes your new norm, and it's not until you really sort of hit rock bottom and that you start thinking, yeah, it's maybe something else is going on here, because I always, people must be looking at me and going, you're always sick. But it was August 2014, when I first crashed really, and my boys, my eldest Will was nearly 10, and Ben was 7. And it got to the point where when we knew that something was wrong, when literally one morning I couldn't get out of bed, and my husband, right at that time, actually timing, was his accounting firm was merging with Deloitte, and so we were going through all of that stuff, and so Paul had enough on his plate, And yeah, he did actually later on a couple of times tell me off, because I didn't tell him everything. I didn't feel I could tell him everything. He had enough on his plate. I was sick. I was going to be in bed, and they just needed to leave me, because we just didn't. I had been to the doctor so many times. I had been you go to the doctor, and the doctor diagnoses you and fixes it. Um, and I had got so run down. Being an at-home mum, I'd figured that, well, I should be able to do this because I haven't gone back to work. So I was running the local Plunkett creche. I had, including relief staff, nearly 7 staff. It was basically a full-time job. I was doing it totally voluntarily. I was running the local boating club, and managing their rooms. I was chair of the local kindy. All these things because I wasn't working, so I can do all of that. And of course was running a household and 2 kids, and so it got to the point where my body finally decided, yeah, can't do it anymore, and I couldn't get out of bed.
Wow. And Paulette, now that you've
Mm.
said that, I totally remember you telling me that you were still running the daycare center. Remember, we were talking about that quite early on, being like,
Mm.
you're going to have to stop doing this. So when you couldn't get out of bed, before I'd come into your life, like you'd done a few other things. Like, what was the journey until that happened? Like, you'd reached out to other support, like in terms of you'd been into hospital, hadn't you? Am I right?
Yeah, so I had I'd get, because it when I was finally diagnosed with ME, looking back, I was in, I suppose we got severe adrenal failure. I just couldn't stop shaking. My adrenals were trying to kick in to help me out, but there was nothing there. I'd get the shakes at all sorts of different times of the day, and occasionally, yeah, when that happened, before we understood what was going on, a couple of times Paul, yeah, he called an ambulance, and and I was in and out of hospital, and because I'd had a history of endometriosis, they kept putting me in the gynecological ward. Fast forward about 6 or 8 months, and I had been in and out of hospital, and they decided, oh well, maybe she needs a hysterectomy. So I actually had a hysterectomy, because I had so much the ME. I had so much gut pain, that I couldn't determine whether it was an endometriosis pain, or what I now know is leaky gut. And the doctors in the hospital just said, oh, it's probably just, man, you've had a bad, right? It's bad luck. You've had back-to-back cases of the flu. What, about 3 now? And of course, as soon as they said that, we thought, well, that can't be right. Who gets 3 doses of the flu back to back, for goodness sake? So one Sunday morning, the turning point really was one Sunday morning, because of course after I'd been in and out of hospital, thinking, right, well, they've sorted it now. No, all the symptoms had come back. Had the hysterectomy. Fortunately, of course, we'd decided that 2 children was enough, and we weren't planning on having any more children. So we thought, right, well, let's do it. If this is going to solve the problem, let's do it. Fortunately, they didn't force me into menopause, which is good. But I had everything else except for my ovaries removed. And where was I?
Whether that, when they took out, did the surgery, if that got you better, because apparently you had all your endometriosis
Yeah,
issues. That was, if they did the
yeah.
hysterectomy,
So
you were going to get better.
yeah, so I didn't. So it didn't make me better. So I just, yeah, that's right. And then one Sunday morning, and I'll always remember it. I was literally leaning on, because I couldn't hold myself up. I was leaning on the kitchen island, and Paul said, terribly practical person, my husband, said, right, well, let's look at it. Well, there's 4 of us living under this roof. We're all eating the same food. We're all breathing the same air. We're all drinking the same stuff. The only thing you're doing differently is you are taking a tablet for seizures, because as a baby I had grand mal seizures, and they came back when I was in my late 20s. So I'd been taking them for a while by then. So out came Mr. Google. Dr. Google, and we had a look, and there were 13, I remember there were 13 indicators for an allergy to this particular medicine. And I had been one of the guinea pigs on this new medicine, and it had worked brilliantly. Like, I hadn't had any seizures, and it was, so it worked brilliantly, done its trick. And 11 of these, what do you call them, contraindications, I could tick off. And Paul said, oh my God, how have the doctors not worked this out? It's got to be an allergy to this medicine. So off I trotted to the doctor again on the Monday morning, and they basically went, oh God, can't believe we haven't thought of this. We'll have to send you off to a neurologist. So, and I'd been to neurologists before, because I had to, because of the meds and stuff. Anyway, finally got, they said, oh, it'll be a 3-month wait. I said, look, I've been waiting for, by this stage, it was over a year. I'd been in and out of hospital. So, went along.
You weren't functioning during this time, right? Like, you were struggling to look after your...
My children were being picked up in the mornings by driving Miss Daisy and taken to school. And so they were both at the local primary school, nearly 10 and 7. So they'd get picked up in the morning and taken, because Paul had to go to work. And I'd literally crawl out of bed and sit at the top of the stairs, and they'd give me a hug, and they'd head off to school, and then I'd crawl back into bed. So Paul would work all day, and then he would come home, and he would then do all of my jobs. He would cook dinner for the kids. He would do the wash. He'd be up till midnight, because he had to do the washing and the ironing and make the school lunches and all that stuff. And he would say to me, in the morning before he left, don't do the washing. I know you want to at least do it, just don't do that. Leave it, please. He said, I can do it when I get home. Because I would be sitting in bed and thinking, surely I can just go down the 17 stairs down from my bedroom down to the laundry. I can get down there. Can I get down? Yep, no, I can get down there. But can I get back up again? And I'd be spending tens of minutes, like up to an hour, just pondering this decision. Can I get down the stairs, and can I get back up, and should I? And then just be so exhausted by it, I'd fall asleep, and I still hadn't even got out of bed.
Holy,
I know, it was bloody awful.
I know, isn't it? When you look back, like, and the reality of, so then when you went back to the neurologist, like, could that have been your life? What did he say about the medication?
Well, of course, we expected him to say, oh, of course, you've got it right. But he was adamant. He said, no. He said, that's not, no, that's, and I said, but look, it's 11 out of 13. He said, no, you've got ME. And I looked at him, and I'd never heard of it. And I said, well, what the bloody hell's that? And he said, oh, it's myalgia and encephalomyelitis. Oh, okay then. I said, excellent. So what do we do about that? And the first thing he said was, well, it's great that we've got a diagnosis, but I'm very sorry, modern medicine doesn't know how to cure it. You have to go home and rest. And Paul said, she's been resting for the last 15 months and nothing's working. He said, well, look, I'm really sorry, but that's all we can do. That's all you can do. It'll pass.
And as
so
a mother,
he
must have been, your husband must have just been like, my wife has been sleeping for 15 months. I've given her, like, he genuinely was running the household, like you say, it's true. He must have just been thinking, like, what more can I do? Like, what can we physically do for her?
I mean, he was. He was. In us. He's amazing. There's not too many husbands that would, go, because he'd leave before 7 in the morning to get into work, and he'd be home about 6 o'clock at night. The kids, of course, would get dropped back from school in the afternoons, get home about 3:15, and they became pretty resilient and pretty independent. And in fact, looking back, they it taught them a lot of empathy. They are very aware when people are unwell. I like to think they are very tuned in to people's emotions and needs, because and they know when I'm off, when I'm not, if I'm not great, and which fortunately isn't very often.
I know, right?
Mm,
But then,
mm.
okay, then what hope? And so then, where were you and Paul left? Like, literally, was it we've got nothing to lose taking a chance on Shelley because the medical world's given us nothing? They've removed organ after an organ for you,
Mm.
and
Yep.
we've got no hope. Like, you're left, we've literally been told, okay, now you're diagnosed, awesome,
Mm.
but there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. So so I was diagnosed, and I remember it now. I was diagnosed on the 1st of October because my birthday's on the 3rd of October, and Paul was out for lunch with Richard, your dad, on the 3rd. And he and Richard said, oh God, we've got to, well, will she take a chance on, on Shelley? And Paul said, oh my God, we'll try anything. And of course we've known you, Shelley, since you were knee high to a grasshopper, because Paul and Richard used to work together. And well, Richard was actually Paul's first boss
I know,
out of
right?
university.
How
Yeah.
like things you never know how it's gonna work and who you need in life.
Yeah.
You know,
And then you worked with Paul. Paul got
I
you a good
know.
job at his accounting firm. Yeah. So of course we were like, well, of course. And I remember Richard saying, Paul saying, oh my God, here's Richard. He's all concerned about Shelley because she's had this fabulous career and stuff, and she's gone and thrown it in on some bloody idea about how she can help people apparently, and that's fine. But really, are we going to make it a full-time job? She could, because I can see her. She can take over my accounting practice, and she can. Oh my God, it was hilarious. And and now look at what you've done. Look at what you've done.
That's exactly it. That conversation, you can say it because you know it. That's exactly what Dad's head was going through his head, where he's like, she's going to throw away the family business on a whim to help people. What does she know about helping people?
What is she thinking? Yeah. And you said, well, let me just have a crack at Paulette and I'll show you. Yeah. So yeah, you turned up that day, drove up in your mum's little frog car, and Kermit, and knocked on the door. And of course, it took me a while to get down the stairs, and then then back up again, and away we went. And I remember when you gave me that first. The vitality greens. You said, here's some vitality greens. I want to see what this does to your system. And I was so low that I could feel that energy just as soon as I drank it, you could just feel it start to work. It was phenomenal. And I said, oh my God, I'm going to have some more of that. But of course, by that stage, it was in the afternoon. And you said, well, we do want you to have some proper sleep tonight. We don't want you awake. Slowly does it. And and you got me on just started me in little steps, and 6 years later, still with you. And
Paulette, like seriously, I remember like just thinking as I touched you, like when you lay down, and I was like, I'm gonna break her. She is so, and like we used to talk about it in terms of ballooning and bubbling. Like we'd literally hear your gut making the noise and feel the bubble as I do your functional evaluation. And like we could barely do anything because your body, and like you say, like I forget, obviously, also being your practitioner sometimes, like when I first came to see you, not you coming to see me, I was going to see you, how much you'd go to the bathroom. Like remember how literally, because of how stressed your body was, and not to embarrass you, I don't mean this, you never like pooed your pants, I don't mean
fine.
that.
We
But
can
like
extend about talk about
everything would go through you. Like you were going to in the morning, like multiple times, weren't you? In the morning, like in the beginning.
Yep. And I remember
Like,
one of the times when I was in hospital, and they were saying that they thought I must have been wrong when I said, I said, I've got diarrhea. And they said, well, how long have you had that? And I said, weeks. And they went, what do you mean weeks? Yeah, weeks. And of course, I'd never heard the saying, leaky gut. I didn't know. I know all about it now, but I didn't know it. And that was, and for them, because my body felt like, I had chronic flu. They tested me, they x-rayed me for pneumonia. I'd had so many rounds of antibiotics. In fact, whenever the doctors just didn't know, they just gave me some more antibiotics. Which of course was screwing my gut even more. So
now you know, right?
Yeah.
So in your mind, what do you think we started with? Like, what was the beginning of our journey together in terms of, yes, we were focusing on just giving you energy and like healing your gut a little bit, but what do you
Mm.
remember through the journey? What was the first thing? And also, no, what we should also say is little old me, who didn't even know how I was going to help you, let's be honest, you wanted to get to LA with the kids at Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And I guaranteed you in that first appointment that I'd have you there.
I know. I said, well, we've decided I've been sick for so long. The kids are missing out because poor old things, I could no longer get them to their piano lessons or their swimming lessons or their tennis lessons. And so they had to, some of those they were okay to give away. They were like, oh, no, it's okay, mum. But I was so frustrated, which, of course, lumped even more on me psychologically because I thought, failing as a mum, I can't even get my kids to their afternoon activities. What the hell is wrong with me? And the whole could have, should have, would have. I should be able to do this. For goodness sake, I don't even have a full-time job. I should be able to do this. And I couldn't. So you beat yourself up. So we decided, bugger it, we'll book the flights and we'll go to Disneyland for Christmas. And so, I said to you, well, you're going to have to get me on that plane. And at this stage, of course, it was the beginning of October, and she basically had 2 months. I got to Disneyland, you got me there. We even managed to convince Paul that if you want me in tip-top form, I needed to fly business class, and they didn't.
That's a really good practitioner there, right? When the practitioner says, hey, that's fine, I'll get it to Disneyland.
Shelley said,
yeah, you've got to pull your part too, and you can upgrade her. But I'll get her there.
Wonderful.
And she'll walk around so literally, I did start seeing you in October. And like I said, I was crying because of how sick you were. But I knew you were going to be able to go. I didn't say you'd be able to enjoy the full holiday to maximum capacity by Christmas. But what was the turning point, right? Because after 20 months, 2 years almost of not being able to do anything, barely be able to get down 10 stairs, to now be able to get on a flight to America in 2 months, that's a pretty fast turnaround. I know we didn't have you in full health by any means by that time. No. But in your mind, Paulette, what was the biggest thing that we did in those kind of 2 months to get you up to a level of health that you could actually be with your family and enjoy this family holiday?
Yep, to be honest, looking back, it was having a plan. The doctors, I'd been told by the GP and by the hospital, in and out of hospital, they did not know what to do with me. They did not know what was wrong. They did not know what to do with me. And that is a massive realization that you've got to come to terms with, that, well, shit, if the doctors don't know what to do, what do we do? At that stage, I was in my early 40s and, had 2 primary school children. And, what do you do? So, of course, you started me with the Vitality Greens and with Great Lakes to help heal my gut, and a few gentle supplements. Oh, those that was the neonatals, wasn't it? Yeah, neonatals. Oh, they're like liquid gold nuggets. Those things. Gold nuggets. I wouldn't let Shelley wouldn't let you take me off them, and then you said, I have to take you off them, Paulette, otherwise you're becoming, no, you're not taking me off these. So so really to get to the States though, it was having a plan, having something to look forward to, and knowing that I had the support there to be able to do it. And you talked to me so much about, okay, worst case scenario, what we'll do is we'll get you over there, and we were over there for 3 weeks, moving around a little bit. But you said even if we just have you on a liquid diet, basically smoothies and everything, that's fine. And if we can get you into some sort of solid food, and it was just great. Let's do that. I had plans A, B, C, D, and E, and we knew that.
Do you remember your notepad? And we literally wrote out the plans.
Yep, and you lent me your stick blender because I said, well, I can't take a blender over there with me. How am I going to do? And we'd even worked out, and we'd looked up on little Google as to where I can get over there, get all the lovely fresh produce and stuff like that, so I could be eating fresh. Yep.
Yeah. We'd done it all right, and Paul, to his credit, went and got it all for you, sorted it all out. He knew exactly what was what. Hey, and while everyone else was doing whatever they wanted around Disneyland, not you, You were on your strict health diet and you were too scared to not follow. Back then, just
I
so
was
you
terrified
know,
to not follow it. Yeah.
Paulette was a very compliant client when it came to her diet. She was not going to waver away from the rules. She was
No.
no way. If Shelley tells me to eat whatever serving of greens a day, I'm not going near. Like licorice is one of Paulette's favorite things, but there was no way Paulette was going near the licorice all sorts. Not if I
No.
get her to Disneyland without the licorice all sorts. There was
Exactly.
none of the sneaky of anything. So compliant back then, Paulette. Little do I know, but the thing that Paulette knows all these years later is even when little things sneak in, somehow her practitioner works it out. Funny that.
Damn it. So what have you really been doing, Paulette? What aren't you telling me, Paulette?
I know. And what is really in your handbag that you're sneaking in there for your delicious snacks throughout the day? So, Paulette, as we work together, obviously helping your adrenals, helping your gut heal, teaching you different ways of eating, different ways of feeding you that was going to work for you, work for your lifestyle, work for your family. Then you actually got back to amazing health, right? Like you started to thrive, you could live your life again, you were the mum that you wanted to be. Oh, but we had you doing weird things like what, legs up the wall and like the bagel oil, all sorts of like if Paul thought that like the functional evaluations and he likes to call it this was weird, then we had to throw in oils and breathing and
Yep. And I would just say to him, hun, you don't need to understand how it works. Just roll with it. I am healthy, and and Shelley said so. This is how it is, and bless him. And he's never complained. He gives us both a hard time every now and again, doesn't he, Shelley?
But
but he can stick to his day job, thanks, and you can stick to yours.
Absolutely. Along that journey, as you were getting better, what was some of the key things? Like obviously the legs up the wall or the breathing or the vagal. Like what was that telling you really about your body? Like what was the gift? And I remember saying to you quite early on, Paulette, you'll look back and realize this was such a great gift. Like you don't see it now, obviously, when you're going through it. But what were some of the gifts that you learned about your body or about you as a person throughout this time of healing?
I had never listened to my body, never, and so I had to just terminology and talking about what was going on in my body. When you'd say to me, okay, well, what's happening, and how's your tummy at the moment, and how's your how are your bowel movements and all this sort of thing. It's like, oh my God, are we seriously talking about? And of course now, I mean, I've got that, what does your poo say about you in the toilet? And the boys go, oh my God, Mum, really? And I said, yes, well, you can read it, and you might learn something. And now I even have my boys on. I have snuck so many things into their breakfast smoothies in the morning that I know that I'm looking after their guts. And when Will came and saw you too at one stage, and he thought it was the end of the world because he knew that dairy didn't have a great effect on his gut because it showed up on his face with acne and eczema on his body. But then when you suggested that actually gluten's not your friend either, he said, oh, how am I going to go gluten-free? And I said, sweetheart, I'm giving you smoothies for breakfast in the morning and they're gluten-free, and dinner at night because I'm gluten-free, so are you. You've actually been gluten-free. So there's none of this big drama queen business about, oh my God, I'm all of a sudden going to have to go. It's only we need to just tweak your lunches. And that can just mean either swapping out your sandwich bread for gluten-free bread, or making something different. And so when you sort of, chunk it down like that, he had been probably for a good 3 years virtually gluten-free and not even realised.
Totally. Absolutely. And like you say, like it's just simple swaps or simple adjustments, like just making it really easy. Focusing, and this is what we do the whole time with you, on the things that you can have and the things that you do like and the reasons why you want to do things and how it's going to improve your health. And Paulette,
Yeah.
what I love about you though, and what you've learned along this journey is now you actually just don't settle for symptoms.
No. No.
Like you
I'll say,
mentioned,
look, such and such is happening, and I'll fire you off a message. Say, right, well, you need to do this. And actually, most of the time, I'll be saying to you, should I be increasing this or should I be doing that? Because it's, over the last 6 years, I've learned. And yes, I do take varying levels of supplements, but I talk about them as my multi-targeted um, vitamins, my targeted vitamins. And rather than just popping a whatever, one in the morning, and that'll just hit an average amount of this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, like at the moment, I need more zinc, and I need more immune support, and I need what did you put me on yesterday? But B6, because I noticed that I'd been a little bit low on that in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, listening to my body, it's got my boys really thinking about it. Husband's still a work in progress, but that's part for the course.
yeah.
Mm.
And Paulette, so sometimes people can have this idea, and without you having to go into all the details, that you reach optimal health and you just stay there. But
Ugh,
as we both know, the problem is life happens, right? Like
yep.
life kicks in sometimes and we have to deal with things. So you got to ultimate health. You felt absolutely amazing. Life was tracking. You're back to being this full-on mom, loving life. And
Mm-hmm.
then, and you can go into details or not if you want to, but emotional things came up, right? In terms of with
Yeah.
your mum.
Yep. Yep.
And so your
So
mum was
yeah. Mm. Yep, yeah, things happen, and some of the major things that have happened over the last couple of years, everything from we decided that we were going to take the kids to Europe. We had 6 weeks over there, and one of the things that I was worrying about was, well, what food am I going to be able to access, and just talking, just the anxiety and the but what it was stepping outside that, well, I've got all of this available here, so what's available over there, and just those different stresses and that they put on your body, and then started to, of course, chew through my adrenals, and so just giving it, recognizing stress as a mental thing and a physical thing. They can be both of those things at the same time, or separately. And when my mum was very unwell last year, she passed in January this year, but I spent the last 6 months, I was very lucky that I spent every day of her last 6 months with her at home. And physically, I was going into town every day. I'd get the boys off to school, and then I'd go straight, and husband off to work, and I'd go straight into town and be with her all day. And so it wasn't physically taxing, but obviously it was emotionally very taxing. And we had nurses in there. I'd arranged registered nurses round the clock at home. We're fortunate enough to be able to do that, and it was great because mum wanted to be at home. But I remember you checking in with me every now and again. I say, yeah, no, I'm fine. Yep, no, I'm good. I'm having my smoothie in the morning, and I'm making sure I'm having a really good meal at night. And yes, but Paulette, what are you eating in between? And at the time, it was my favourite was the go-to protein bar, the Tom and Luke's protein bar. And yes, bless you, Shelley, you knew. So many dates in that, Paulette, and there's so many this, that, and the other, but it's okay. She seems to be managing it okay. We'll just let her roll with it, and I'll break the bad news later, which you did. And afterwards said, no more of those protein bars, Paulette. Damn it, but they got me through, and they were wonderful.
And the practitioner turned a blind eye. She was like, we'll let her ride this wave. But once she comes through it, and once she's through, like, some of that grief, well, I'll be kicking her
Yep.
hard and I'll be letting her know.
Yep, because it did. Because we're, of course, the emotion finally, hit, and and leaky gut and everything, and it all sort of, certainly wasn't back to anywhere near square one, but I could feel my body slide, and of course it was because of everything that was going on. And there's only so much you can you can talk yourself around coping with these things, but you've just got to allow your body to grieve and to deal with it and to go through what it needs to go through. So yeah, that was a matter of tweaking my supplements and what I was eating and making sure that I could support my body through it. And it it took a few weeks, but after that it was everything came right. So yeah, on that note, yeah, life happens. And so many different things happen, whether when you're shifting house, when you're having babies, or you're getting a new job, or even just in lockdown now. I mean, this is putting so many stresses on different people, having to work in different environments, having their kids at home. I I love lockdown. Sorry, but I love lockdown because I have my family at home where I know they are safe. I know they are happy. I can feed them. We get all the groceries delivered, and we can literally just be in our little bubble and watch the world go by. But I know it's quite different for a lot of other people, and yet other things that might stress me don't stress other people. Everyone's different, right? So that's what you're here for, and that's why I keep checking in with you every 6 or 8 weeks, so that we can make sure that I am on the right track. Because if I'm not 100, our household just turns to shit. It falls apart, and everybody knows that.
Paul decided, right? Like Paul was very invested in terms of like as you were getting better, he was fully behind it because he now knew, and that was his biggest fear. He couldn't lose
Yeah,
his wife again. Like he had been through it when he now knew what it was like to have a wife that didn't prioritize her own health or just hadn't thought to.
yeah,
It wasn't something you guys had even thought about or even worried about because you were in your banking days fully functioning. And so I
yep,
think that's a lesson that you two as a team, as a couple, as a partnership have gone, Paulette needs to, we need to prioritize. Yes, she's at home, but that doesn't mean just because she's at home that she's actually looking after herself. It means she's running around after Paul, like running around
yep,
after your sons, and so it became a real team decision. And I know Paul's been 100% on board in terms of saying, hey, Paulette, like, come on, are you looking after yourself? What do you need to do for
do
you?
what you need to do.
Yeah. And really making sure that you do look after you prioritize your health, because he knows firsthand, and he said this to you, when he's going through big times at work. If you're not there, if you're not in full health, I can't do this. Like, I can't have you fall apart because I need you as the rock looking after the home and the family so that I can go and shine over here
Yeah.
in a different way. And I need you. Hey, like that's what it really highlighted, that we just couldn't go through. Like he just doesn't want to go through that ever again, the stress of it.
No.
But well, as you started to get better though, did you ever doubt your body? Were you in fear? Like, were you scared that you would have a relapse? Like, did you initially think, you came from this low and you got high and better, but then were you scared? Like, what if this happened again? How did you know it wasn't going to happen like it did the first time?
Yeah. No, I was terrified, and I got myself so worked up that and you recognized that and said, right, we've got to a point now. There were two points that you sent me off in the direction of two different people who have become part of my little village, if you like, because it takes a village. And the first was Ben, as a personal trainer, to basically get my body working again, because I hadn't been able to do anything, and everything had just blobbed out or just done nothing. I had done basically no movement for a good 18 months, 2 years, and had just been in bed, and I'm still seeing Ben. I'm going to pay for it tomorrow because I saw him this afternoon via Zoom call. Thanks, Ben. And the other person was you suggested that I go and talk to somebody, and so I started seeing a counsellor. I had never ever seen a counsellor before, and I remember saying to her, she was absolutely gobsmacked when I said, this, I'm not sure how this works, because I've never talked to anyone before. And she said, what do you mean you've never talked to anyone before? I said, well, I've never seen a counsellor. And she was gobsmacked. And there was a whole lot in behind, I suppose, what I explained right at the beginning, and being my personality type, wanting to help people, wanting to fix things, wanting to be a part of everything, giving to everybody else. And then finally just body just decides, you know what, we can't do it anymore, and just crashed. And so I had got to the point where I thought, well, it's happened before, was stop that happening again. And every time I even felt the slightest bit unwell, I'd think, oh my God, it's happening again. Oh my God, it's happening again. And so yeah, you suggested that I do go and see her, and Anne was amazing. And I check in with her every now and again, and she just gave me ways to which is cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT,
Yeah.
and just ways, coping mechanisms, ways to cope with things, so that I didn't get myself so wound up, so that I had confidence in myself and in what I was doing, and that, you know, we had the plan, stuff that I would have told myself, but I obviously hadn't sort of truly believed in. And so once we sort of got that piece right, then yeah, it definitely helped.
It's amazing, eh, Paulette? Like now, while you'd never wish it on your family, the suffering, the pain, the
Oh,
anguish, on your children, obviously on your husband. But would you say that it has been a gift? Like how you live your life now compared to how you lived
yeah.
it pre-sickness? Do you
Mm.
like the person that you are now?
Oh God. And I look back and I just think, you know, I was always sick. I remember having glandular fever when I was, in my early 20s. I remember having, all the issues with endometriosis. And I remember having pneumonia, in sixth form. And it was just always something. And yeah, it was my body just wasn't able to cope with the load. And I'd think that I was looking after it because I ate well. I didn't ever eat a lot of have a lot of vices or anything, but I wasn't doing the basics. Wasn't listening to my body. So now that I do, and I pass that on to my boys, and I say to them, you've got to listen. You can't, like during lockdown, the number of times I've had to say to them, how much have you drunk today? Oh, mum. And I said, oh, but I'm not thirsty. I said, well, when you actually get thirsty, that's too late. You're supposed to be, yeah, exactly. And I've talked to them all about sipping and not gulping, and then they'll do their father's roll of the eyes and go, yeah, okay, Shelley would have said that. I go, yeah, because it works. So then they'll still do it though, and they'll go and they'll get their water, and they'll go back to their laptop and back into the schoolwork and stuff. So the message with boys, sometimes it just takes a little bit longer, with teenage boys in particular, but we're getting there.
Paulette, and what is one last thing you'd like to tell everyone? Is that if people don't even realize that they could feel better, like, do you wish that you had made some of these changes before you crashed? Like, now that you look back, do you think that there were ways to improve your health back before you even knew that you had real symptoms?
Yeah, I think I could always wish that that I'd done it earlier, but as I've I mean, and as I've been more than willing to chat with any of your clients. I've spoken with so many people, over the years about what I've been through, and what it is to go through a program with you, and to have you support them. But I truly believe that some people that I've spoken with, it's like, yeah, but I'm not as bad as that, and yeah, but but oh no, mine's different. You're not. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what person you are, whatever. Nobody will actually really listen until they've hit their own rock bottom, and their own rock bottom is everyone's is different. For
Mm.
me, it was, my job was to look after my husband and my children, and I couldn't do that. And if I can't do that, then and I can't get out of bed, then something's wrong. What's going on? And it wasn't till then that I thought, right, we've got to do something about this, And at the same time, of course, the doctors in the hospital were saying to us, we don't know what to do. We don't know. So you go home. And I remember Paul coming into the hospital one morning, and I was in the gynecological ward, and he was all dressed up in his suit. He got the kids off to school, and they'd come in all ready to go off to work, and they said it's time to take her home. And I couldn't even open my eyes. And he said, and take her home and do what? And they said, well, we there's nothing more we can do here. And he said, but there must be. What the hell am I supposed to do? And they said, oh, she needs rest. Well, she's had rest for the last 14 months, and it was just a big go round. And then, of course, it was the next wee while that I got in and seen a neurologist, and then we got in to see you.
Paulette, thank you so much for sharing so much. Like, this was so kind of you. You were so open, you're so candid, you shared from your heart, and like truly, like you have not kept anything a secret from us. Like, if you know what I mean, like this is the true story, and I would testify to that in terms of being your health practitioner, working with you. You've been a dream to work with. I've been so lucky. And what an amazing first client. You are picture perfect first client in terms of like listen to everything, did everything. And that's a message there in itself, is that you were so willing to get better. You were willing to put in what was hard work at the time. And hard work looks like something totally different for every single client.
Oh,
The hard work was taking the powders and a few pills, tastes that you didn't necessarily want to have. But you were so determined and dedicated to do it. And when it's like, no, Paulette, you can't go for that family walk, even though you're starting to get energy, you're like, okay, I won't go for the family. Every part of you wanted to. You understood the process, and you really followed it. You reaped the benefits. If you know what I mean. And
remember when you told me about when I'd said that we were wanting to go to Disneyland, and you said, right, we've got you, we're getting you supplemented and helping out there, but there's no way that you're going to be able to sort of just get out of bed from home, go on a 12-hour flight, and then get out the other end and walk around all day in Disneyland. We've got to build you up to that. And so I remember, the first time, and I could only walk to the through the letterbox, and then back up the driveway again. And then the next day it was walk a little bit further. And then I made it to lampposts. And I remember coming back one night, and Paul was cooking dinner. And I said, I'd made it to the lamppost across the beach. And I was absolutely stoked. And I said, and Paul was like, oh my God, because that was so much more than I'd been able to do. And I said, and I actually felt that I could go further, but I had Shelley's voice in my head saying, don't ruin it. Just save that energy. We've got to store up some of that energy so that we can still have it and over in Disneyland. So rather than running around like a flea in a fit and getting everything sorted back here and then going over there and wondering why I couldn't function, we sort of stored that up and we had a whale of a time over there. It was wonderful.
I know, Paulette, it's so so amazing. And seriously, I am so grateful to you. Do you know who's just actually everyone's saying, Paulette, because Cassandra's here, your sister, messaging on Facebook telling me, that she can see you and she loves it. And other clients are messaging to say thank you so much for sharing your story and thank you for being so open.
Oh, they're lovely.
Talking about a full circle, this will make you laugh because I can see that Joe Darville's just signed in to see you as well, which just reminds us, because anyone listening, she's another one from her husband, part of the Curtis McLean clan. So we just keeps on giving and loving, and everyone's it's funny how it all connects. And that all happened in the first place, like another connection through you and you sharing your story and being brave and people seeing your health improved so dramatically that then they wanted to look at, it opened their eyes for a whole that, you don't have to live with these symptoms and you don't have to be as bad as me and Paulette got. We wish that we hadn't gotten to the state that we got to and that we had somebody in our lives shining a different light. Like me and you didn't know any better. We didn't have anyone saying, hey, maybe you could go and get help. Maybe you could stop the direction you're heading. Like me and you didn't know, so we can't beat ourselves up because we literally had nobody else. But if somebody's shoulder tapping you and talking about not putting up with these symptoms, you don't need to put up with these symptoms. You can change it.
No, you so don't need to put up with these symptoms. Not at all. No, not at all.
Absolutely.
No,
Now,
and remember you'd given me your I asked you and you gave me a box of your business cards because I said I'm going to be handing them out. And I remember when I had to ask you for the second box because I was and I still carry 4 cards. I always have 4 in my purse, and every now and again I'll still hand them out, and I'll give them to somebody and say, look, when you're ready, contact Shelley. And Shelley will sort you out. And if ever you want to have a chat about it, by all means, give me a ring. It's no problem at all. And I've had all sorts of people give me a ring, and quite often, if they don't remember your name, although you've been around long enough now that people will know your name, but beforehand they'd remember, and I'd get people saying, now you got better, so who was it that spoke to you, because and who was it that helped you out, because we remember when you were sick. And so it's just little connections like that, and that happened with a friend out through cricket out this way, and it was after a cricket prize giving, and Rochelle had said to me, she said, look, I need to pass your name on to Mona, and we helped Mona out, so it was
It's the circle, and Mona message on Facebook is, oh, you saw that? That's right. Yeah, because she was our biggest skeptic. Couldn't believe in me at all, but now she's got a beautiful success story too, which is the gift that keeps on giving. And for all Paul's skepticism, he refers plenty of people as well, so
he does.
He believes in it, I know. And also I'm pretty sure Tony is your son's girlfriend's mum.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
She's been listening to, and she's just said, thank you so much. So lovely to hear your health journey, Paulette. And thank goodness for Shelley. So there you go, Paulette. You don't know all the people that have been listening in, that you've been broadcast to. You don't know the amount of people that you've touched their hearts tonight, or that you've shared your health journey with. That
are just because of you.
I know, but they feel so privileged that you did it. So thank you so much, Paulette. That while we're all in lockdown, it's like good little stories to hear and tune into and just be inspired by. And just know, the other thing that I really love is, as a mum, the gift that you've given to your children and their girlfriends. We've had the girlfriends in here with, our girlfriends, sorry, with one of them come in as well. So it's the gift that you got empowered, so your children are empowered, and that changes generations of different health. They make different decisions because of it. So Paula, I am so grateful for your time. Are the 2 boys in bed by now, or is that too early for them these days?
One of them should be, and the other one nearly. So yes. And no matter how much we hear, but we're in lockdown. Yes, but you've still got online schooling tomorrow. So it's I'm a big fan of routine. So yeah.
So, guess what? I've even had messages saying you're the favorite interview so far from my client interview series. You're beating Dad right about now, Paulette.
Oh, not Richard. Oh, he'll feel bad.
The game is on now. The competition. We almost need to do votes. You and Cassandra's agreeing you're definitely beating Dad. So there we go. Paulette, favorite interview ever. There we go. That's a big call.
That's a huge call. Oh,
Dad, I had to tell him he was feeling quite chuffed that people were viewing him. And Cassandra he watched you instead of Wentworth. So there you go. You'll know more of what that means than what I do.
Oh, crikey. Oh dear. But you just anytime, I've always said to you, whenever you've got anybody that has that is maybe a little uncertain about starting out a journey with you, or has heard about whatever, just get them to give me a ring. And I certainly don't shove Shelley down their throat, but I just talk about what's happened with me. And hey, it's worked with me. And if you've got to a point where nothing else is working, why not give it a try? Because that's where we were at, and look at what it's given me. Amazing. Yeah.
Totally. Thank you so much, Paulette. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Sending you big love. Thank you. Bye, Paulette.
Bye.